What's Doug reading? Oh,
hey.
that was a cool one. That's a good one, dude. I like that.
Thank you. I tried to keep you on your toes.
That was good. So welcome everyone to the masses who have joined us. I'll say hello.
Where are they?
Hello. Our regulars hopefully will show up any minute. Here they come. So welcome, and this is what is Doug is reading. As you can tell from Doug's hat, he has traveled the world, and actually sought curiosities and paranormal and strangeness, and he's reading about it all the time. And so he brings us this crazy weirdness every week. And
Yes.
and then we also talk about what we've done for the week and other crazy stuff that our crazy viewers bring up. So welcome, Dirk and Armand, saying
Mom.
hello.
Hey, Dirk.
We've got people who join from all over the world too. We usually have, Rodrigo from Portugal, somebody from the UK, somebody from Canada, and almost every time we've got that. Dirk, are you from the UK? I thought Dirk from somewhere.
No,
exotic
Dirk's
too.
one of us. Dirk's one of us. He listens to.
You're from somewhere very exotic, Casa Grande in the deserts of Arizona.
Es verdad.
It is exotic.
It is certainly exotic. It's the pinnacle of exoticism and eroticism, and the Olive Garden.
Armand's in the UK. He's in East Sussex. Dirk's in
Philly.
There we go. Oh, whoa, Philly. Lots going on in Philly this last week.
I had suspicions he was Philly. East Coast.
I almost moved to Philadelphia. I was working for Turner, which was bought by AT&T and then was bought by Comcast. And the whole time, I was working for a cable when they rolled out internet over cable. So this was literally the first product of that sort. So the very first customers, and it grew. When I started, we only had a couple hundred beta testers, and then it grew into, of course, millions. Everybody's got their internet over cable. Both of us are probably, broadcasting over cable right now. So
makes sense.
After years, Comcast bought them up, and they wanted me to move to Philly so badly, and I just wouldn't do it. They kept me on for a long time after the buyout in Denver, where I was headquartered. And finally, I was just like, they offered me more money. I'm like, no, I don't want to go live in Philly. And it's not that Philly wasn't great, because I did go out there quite a bit. It's pretty awesome. I actually do like it. It's just I wasn't ready to move at that point. I wanted to stay in town with my family and stuff. So
plus, if you're used to living, if you were coming from Colorado at the time, is that what the case was? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole different world on the East Coast. Philadelphia
is very different.
There's two. There's Philadelphia has it all. So, but it's East Coast, which is a whole different mindset. So
yeah,
it's really, I don't know if you would have enjoyed it or not. I just don't know.
I think I would have. I get along with East Coasters pretty well. Not all Coloradans do. Because Coloradans, West Coasters are pretty mellow. But I like straight talk. I like telling it like it is, as my viewers know. I'm kind of a mix of the East and the West. I love telling it like it is. I'll tell you like it is, but I'll be nice about it. And I'm not going to talk at a million miles an hour.
Confrontation. Yeah, we're highly caffeinated on the East Coast. But I think I've kind of taken on a little bit of West Coast vibe too. But the East Coast, it just comes right through. I don't have the patience for a lot of stuff around here. You go into a convenience store around here or a gas station. There's a long line out the door. There's 3 people working there, but only one person behind the registers. The other 2 are like mopping or something like that. It's like, there's a line here. What do you have to do? Come on, jump. It's a whole different vibe. And it's not up to them. It's up to me to adjust.
Yeah.
And it's taking years, but I'm finally but I am totally East Coast amped up.
So I just want to mention that we've got a couple other friends here. Eric, Chris have joined. Chris is in Norway. So we've got, all kinds of people represented here, which is awesome.
Great.
So we'll get into our international weirdness here.
United Nations, baby.
I have no clue what the book is that you're going to be covering. I've never heard. Ode of Hafiz.
Hafiz.
Oh, cool.
This is 100 years old, this book, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
That looks awesome.
This one is.
But before we get into it, let's review our weeks real quick. I'll just talk about mine real quick. I did a couple of interviews. I did an interview for the SCU, so you'll find that at their YouTube. Go check that out. That's the Scientific Coalition for UAP research. UAPs being unidentified aerial phenomena. Actually, they call it unidentified aerospace phenomena because aerospace includes water. So they just thought, they thought that was a little more broad and a little more encompassing of the entire things they're looking at, which is cool. But it's a group where we advocate for the scientific investigation of what's behind the whole UAP or UFO phenomenon. And so we have scientists doing presentations. So that's a lot of fun. You can check that out on their site. But right here on Open Minds, oh no, I didn't do this here, for Phoenix MUFON. On the Phoenix MUFON Facebook and on the UFO Congress, International UFO Congress YouTube page, I interviewed James Fox this week. And that was a lot of fun. And he said, I saw in on something. He said that something big is coming. And, we've got someone from Brussels who just joined. Cool.
Love your sprouts. Love your sprouts.
Me too. Yeah, Doug and I are Brussels. Well, we're both veggies too, but we're Brussels sprout fans. Not a lot of people are. I love them. I love the hell out of them.
I do too. I thought the texture's awesome. I mean, really, it's roughage. Nature's broom.
Someone said they just watched my James Fox interview, but that was a lot of fun. Yeah, he said there's some news breaking, and I found out more about it. That essentially there's a news story coming out. I think it's been put on hold because of the pandemic or because of the election news. And I can't give much in the way of details, but it is going to be really cool news. So we've got some really interesting UFO news coming up on the horizon any minute now. So that's going to be fun. And of course, if you watch this show or any of my other shows right here on Open Minds, you're going to learn about it first. And especially if you follow me on Twitter, either Open Minds TV Twitter or Alejandro T. Rojas Twitter, you'll definitely find out about that. So that's what I've been up to this week. And then I'll have the podcast tomorrow that I'll do live just like this. And Mr. Doug, what you been up to? You've had a busy week.
Yeah,
holidays already ramping up.
Yeah, that's the thing with us every year around this time. Actually, starting in the end of September, is everything just goes bonkers. And businesses ramped up because people are plotting for the holidays. However, I did notice with the election, like there was a dip. It was like this election day, 4 days later, then back up. So I mean, like there was a worrisome period with business where it just slowed down. And I don't know what was up with that. It's just interesting to observe because it was very noticeable. But yeah, when that was going on, I was hiding under my bed with everyone else in the country, hoping for the best. But yeah, it's just been a very busy week. We have a lot of new stuff coming out soon, and just been prepping for that, really.
Now, this is I was thinking about this the other day, and I think everybody was like this. And without getting political, talking about the past week. Now, I didn't do any shows or anything last week, and we didn't do this show. And that was kind of a mutual thing.
Yes.
But I felt preoccupied, nervous, and worried. And I think both sides of wherever you are politically were kind of frightened. Everybody was kind of hiding, thinking that some kind of violence would happen. And thank goodness it didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Although Alex Jones was here trying to kind of rile people up, and that was kind of scary. But fortunately,
that guy's he's an operative.
He's
an operative to take the country down, that guy. I used to be into him years ago, and he just went bonkers. I mean, he's gone a lot crazier in the last few years, last 10 years maybe. But I mean, like,
I remember meaner, that's for sure.
Meaner, and he's just changed so many of his he's just different. And it's like, I don't like it. He turned into more of a caricature of himself, like a WWF wrestler. I'm a wrestler! Rah! They smell like Satan. And it's like, I remember watching an interview, and this is when the change happened. My feelings, anyways, towards him, the change happened, is when he interviewed Peter Joseph, who did the movie Zeitgeist. Peter Joseph, I mean, I loved that movie. I thought it was really good, really well done. And just seeing him on the show, just Alex attack this guy. It's like, you're on the same side here. Well, I thought at the time they were, but Alex just attacked him, turned the whole thing into a wrestling, like WWF style. And Peter Joe's really intelligent guy. I don't know if you know who he is or heard him speak, but just speaks very well. And so very well spoken, very highly intelligent, East Coast and New Yorker. But I think so anyways, at least that's where he's located. But it was awful. It went so bad. And I had a friend of mine who was like the Alex Jones friend, and I was the Peter Joseph guy. And once that happened, it just,
Oh, really? It's funny. I just scared myself because I looked at myself on the screen here, and I was making a mean face because I was thinking wrestling style.
Yeah. Well, that's
maybe we should do the show like this.
We should. We'll get more followers. We will definitely get more followers because that's what people love. That like calling each other on, man. You know, it's like. That's what the world is turning into is WWF. You see it everywhere. Even, again, not to make it political, but you watch Joe Biden run out to accept the presidency. He ran up it looked like.
Oh, that scared me.
It was, yeah, I know.
He runs like an old guy. And you're like, careful, dude.
Please don't,
Take your time.
Don't push it. But I'm like, even he ran out to, like he was going into a match and all the lights. I mean, it looked WWF, and that's what the world is turning into, unless we stop that now. But it's like this uber like masculinity, like
The problem with me though is there was a great Ren and Stimpy show where they did that, and Ren, the little Chihuahua, of course, is good at it. We're gonna rip your eyes out and rip your head off, and Stimpy's like, "Can I try? Can I try?" And he's like, "Okay, go ahead, Stimpy." And Stimpy is like, I probably would have been, I like you, and he likes him, and he likes you, and I like you. He couldn't think of mean stuff to say.
And the thing is, at the end of the day, it's easier to say something mean than it is to say something the opposite of mean.
It is.
And so you're going to see that a lot more and more. But I just think it's funny. And I was actually having a conversation with a friend about this yesterday too, about why a lot of guys aren't vegan or vegetarian is they take it as it's a masculine thing, like eating meat is manly and and like whether they're conscious of this or not, I think it's somewhere in there, and they look at it as a form of weakness if they're not eating meat. And it's like and it's the same thing with politics and everything else. It's like this is like masculine statement. And I'm just so comfortable with myself. I don't need to do any of that or belong to any of those tribes. It's just weird. Anyways,
I want to comment on a couple of the comments that people have made here, and it is UAP related, but I'm curious of your opinion is why I want to ask. But someone says, hope the new info is a step towards disclosure. I think that's hard to say because disclosure it's difficult to really define disclosure, and what disclosure may mean to one person is different to another. However, to me, it's just the government sharing information, and hopefully it will. I mean, the news, I'll tell you, the gist of it is essentially a very credible situation that is coming from the government. So in other words, it is a situation that seems to have convinced a lot of people to the reality of the phenomena, and that's the gist of the news. So it is good that way. And someone said disclosure is not a destination, it's a process. I love that saying. And I think that Luis Elizondo, who used to run the Pentagon program, says that because it is, it's moving towards getting information that we all get together. I don't think anybody has all the answers. So that was a great way to put it.
But to your
point, what do you think?
I really think that that you raise an interesting point. What disclosure? Here yet or is it not? If you took someone from 10 years ago and time traveled them to now, they would say disclosures happened. It's a whole different world now than it was then. Like we're not going to see it when it's in front of our face because we're getting incrementally fed it for for the last 3 or 4 years now, and like we've become so desensitized to disclosure. We're probably not going to know it when it's here.
True. All right, so I guess
that's why we don't talk about aliens on this show.
So let's see, and you've been busy because holiday season coming up, so you're shipping lots of stuff. So that was your week. Is your week?
That was my week. Yeah.
And so you have until Christmas. How? So you're going to be probably swamped for the next few weeks.
Oh yeah, it's going to be crazy. We have another new employee, so that brings us to 4 employees now. So it's 6 of us, and it's nonstop action. I can't stress that enough. I mean, it's really like go. Because not only are we, selling directly to customers, we deal with our wholesalers and resellers all around the world too. So we're constantly fulfilling orders of all different sizes and everything else, and the media I do on top of that and everything else. So I mean, it's just, there's never a dull moment. There's never nothing to do is what it all comes down to.
It just reminded me, I was going to say, congratulations. I'm really happy your business is doing so well and you're so busy. That's actually good news. And you need help me with this because I know you're a marketing guy. You're great at it and everything. I always forget to plug what I do. So I'm doing mortgages, people. It is a great time to refinance right now. Of course, the percentages are really low. The rates are super low. So if you live in California or Arizona, you want to refinance, or you're looking to buy a home, because a lot of people are buying homes. And actually, during the holidays isn't a bad time to buy homes because it starts to slow down. And some people want to unload their homes so you can negotiate for lower prices. But if you're looking to buy a home or refinance in California or Arizona, please do give me a call. You can contact me through Open Mind, AlejandroTRojas.com, right here. Anyway. But also, if you're interested in joining the mortgage business, it's kind of a cool job and you can do it remotely. No matter what state you're in, get a license, look into that and contact me. I can help you with that because I can also help you with becoming a mortgage lender and even working with me, and I'll help you through things. So anything like that, let me know.
That was good.
My
that was
business.
Good yeah.
So, let's move into what is the topic. What is the book today?
Okay. So anyways, here is Odes of Hafiz. And this book, this book is amazing. I stumbled upon this when I was in Central America. Not this version, not this copy anyways. This copy. Because I made friends with a guy from, where was he from? Lebanon, Amir, my good buddy Amir. We used to hang out a lot, and shoot the breeze. We talk about everything. The great thing about traveling abroad or at least in Central America is talk about the United Nations, much like what we have going on over here in the chat box. That's what it was always like down there, where you're with people from all over the world, hardly anyone else from the United States, depending where you're hanging out. I tried to get away from the gringos as much as I possibly could. So I was always in this United Nations type setting at the bar or at someone's house or whatnot, which is great because you get everyone's perspective on what's going on in the world. It's not like sitting in your own country and people are sick of your politics or hearing what you have to say about this and that. People are actually want to hear what you have to say. And so you can really get some perspective doing that. And the thing about this book is, after weeks of hanging out with Amir, we're back at his house after the bar, a couple other friends, and he's like, guys, we're going to do some divination now. And I was like, what do you mean divination? And he was like, Odes of Hafiz. And I was like, what is that? And he's like, you don't know what this is? And the thing is, not only do I not know what this is, it's really tough to find out anything about this book aside from its poetry, but it's a poetical horoscope or horoscope, depending where you're from. And so I had never heard about it. And even doing research too, it's tough to find out anything about this in English, at least at the very least.
Wow. So far, your story sounds like the beginning of a horror movie, though.
It was the horoscope.
Exciting.
So he's going on about this is a Persian poet from Iran from 1300s, yada, yada, yada. He's giving this whole history and we're drunk, we're just and we're like, okay, yeah, whatever. And he's like, we're like, well, how do you do it? How do you use this thing? And divination was kind of new to me back then, or just the concept of it. And, from what I did know was, the basics like tarot cards and, I Ching, stuff like that. But books, divination books or manuals, that was a new concept to me. And again, had I never been there in this certain place and time, I never would have heard of this because no one's talking about this up here, which is great. And that's why I'm glad to bring it on this show, because now at least it's searchable if anyone else has any interest in it. And it's really cool if you're into divination, if you believe in that. Even if you don't believe in it, it's kind of a fun thing, parties or whatnot. But it's a lot like what you would expect it to be. You flip through, you have your question in your mind, your wish, your question, your concern, whatever, and you flip through the pages, and wherever it stops, you put your finger down, and you get it in Persian, and you get it in English. In this copy, anyways. This book is great because it's the English and Persian version. Ooh, I can rhyme. And how fitting, being poetry. But not only does it have the poem, but it also has an interpretation of what this poem could possibly mean. And at the beginning of the book, it also has terminology of what he's trying to say with different words. So, like, in this case, it's symbolism, I guess you could call it. Like clergy doesn't just mean clergy. Friend, almost every time Hafiz uses the word friend, he means God. Though sometimes he means a human friend. So, I mean, it gives you a little, it's a whole system, which is totally unique. I find it unique anyways, at least in our culture. And so that's what you would do. And so we were, there doing this. Again, we're drunk after the bar. And I don't remember what my question was, but it shocked me. It was jaw-dropping, the answer I got from the book. And then my other friend, also skeptic, he was from Canada. He did it. And he was like, oh, my God. He's like, look at this. And he just talked to me about a problem he was having with his girlfriend. Should he break up with her or not? I can't remember what it was. But it was so relevant to him as well. And it could be just the way these things are written. But even the other day when I was asking it about the coronavirus or COVID, I get, I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, you can. But look at the last line right there. Corona.
But it's talking about the sun's corona.
Right. But the fact that I was asking it about the coronavirus, it's a Persian book. What's the chance of using corona? Yeah. So, I mean, it's a
translation of a word that might have been snuffleupagus.
But corona, I mean, to translate a word into, that's a Spanish word or a Latin word. Why is it in an English translation? You would just say crown of the sun. But here they use the word corona.
Well, that's what corona means, though. The sun's corona. That's a thing.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I guess you could say it like that. But anyway, so it just shot. And I was reading the whole thing, and I wasn't getting it. And then I get to the last line. I was like, oh, my God, it's doing it again. So this goes back. This is a tie into our synchronicity conversation. And, yeah, so I was blown away. And I left Central America. I forgot all about this book until years later. I finally got back into contact with Amir. I'd lost contact with him. I didn't have his email address or anything like that. But I'd always had this book in the back of my mind because I couldn't remember the name of it. And finally I got that. And yes, I got it back in my life. And I ended up finding this version from 1920, not too long ago. And it smells like it's from 1920. This smells.
Show us the front. Why did they write like elves or something? That's so cool.
You know what? That is a good question. I want to see where this was published. This was published in Boston. So elves.
Some funny comments. First of all, Stacy is on, and she's loving. She's loving what you're saying. She's probably like, "Oh, Honcho, shut up." That's pretty cool. Dirk, though, is on my side. He says, Super Deluxe Magic 8 Ball. That's funny.
Yes.
And then,
Magic 8 Ball is it's divination. It's modern divination.
Yeah. The 8 Ball is divination.
It certainly is.
And maybe we should explain what that is. I mean,
They know.
You have your own definition?
Of the 8 Ball?
Some of these guys might not. I guess.
Oh, what is divination?
Yeah.
It's gaining insight from future events through various means and practices.
Mm-hmm. Did you read it? See, this one says, this is from dictionary, I think just dictionary.com. The practice of seeking knowledge of the future or of the unknown by supernatural means.
No, I wouldn't say supernatural because Seers in Greece, the oracle was considered paranormal, supernatural when you're working with gods, but seers would also do divination, but seers didn't deal with gods. Seers it wasn't considered supernatural.
Well, I think we would today consider it supernatural. They were divining information that they shouldn't know otherwise.
But it wasn't as clear as like an oracle or whatnot. They could only answer with a yes or a no. They couldn't give you any more detail than that. So it's tough to really, So I think
a lot of them were at places where there were gases that were kind of making them weird or something, right?
Well, that's the oracle. Now you're talking about like the Pythia.
The oracle.
The Pythia, okay. Yeah, they were probably inhaling gases you know, of I don't remember. I can't recall the name of the gas coming up from the cracks in the earth. That's in Delphi, anyways.
Paint sniffing.
Yeah, like paint sniffing, ancient paint sniffers. Sounds like a ska band. But yeah, in Delphi, that's where that was happening. But yeah, no, seers traditionally had no connection to gods or the paranormal, to my knowledge. But yes, so when I heard of this book and I started thinking about it, like, well, what other books are out there? What other divination books are out there? And the first that popped in mind was the I Ching, which we should probably do an episode on in the future. The I Ching as well. Because I mean, we see this a lot everywhere, and we don't even realize it.
Well, some popular ones are pendulums, muscle testing. When you see the women in the stores doing this, and I say women because I've never seen a man doing it, but especially you go to, oh yeah, you just did. But especially if you go to, and chiropractors use muscle testing. But if you go to a new age store, you'll see women doing that, or even in the health food places, deciding what is the best product I should get. And essentially it's, well, really,
I've never seen that one.
Oh yeah. So you'll see them do this because if it's going like this, then it means no. And then, but if it goes through easier, so essentially you put your fingers together like that. If it goes easily, then you're like, oh, that's a yes. If it doesn't, it's a no. So in other words, it's kind of like the same thing where if you put your arm out and people say, you know, should you go to the zoo today? And then if you can't push it, it's a no. And if you can push it easily, it's a yes. So
this is awesome. I've never heard this before, but I'm going to start doing it.
It's called muscle testing, and it's another form of divination where, you know, some describe it as you accessing some kind of information that is from the ether, supernatural, or that you are accessing your subconscious.
That makes more sense.
Kind of like the Ouija board is another divination type of thing.
Ouija board. What is it? Orstomancy, which is like reading messages from decaying bones. Scrying.
Automatic writing. Is scrying the same as automatic writing?
No, scrying's like using a crystal ball or a piece of glass or a mirror, anything reflective, because you're looking at the reflections. Numerology, rune casting, and again, the I Ching. There was actually in ancient China, they used to burn tortoise shells, and the cracks that formed on it, they would try to read also.
Really? Reading tea leaves.
Tea leaves, coffee grounds, another very popular
I guess any
thing.
of that. And then the cards. What is that with the cards?
Tarot.
This friend of mine got one of those tarot card sets, the pretty ones you can buy at the store.
Oh, yeah.
And she started doing it like crazy. My neighbor in California, and she did mine, and it actually was pretty interesting.
Well, yeah, they're great. I mean, they're great. I mean, the insight coming from the ether or from yourself it's so weird and different that it actually makes you stop for the first time and think about something. So you're going to get something out of it. And I think that's why these things work so well as they do, because they're weird. Imagine reading the entrails of the dead, that's freaky in itself. So I mean, you're removed from whatever you were thinking about before. You're dealing with this and you're forcing yourself to think about something differently. So I think it's part of the show. And it's like the Catholic Church. Everything's so big and dramatic that it forces you to think differently about stuff for the first time. So you are going to have some type of experience, be it paranormal or not. I mean, it's a way to shift your thinking. So I do think there is value in it.
I think there's value too in that, for instance, hypnotherapy, a lot of times, which I really love, and it's something I learned, and we get you in a relaxed state, put you through a fantasy, make your mind create this imagery, and then have you talk to yourself. So it's essentially a way to access your subconscious, but the premise is not supernatural. It's that, and which is true, I believe. We all know what to do. We've got the answers inside of us, but a lot of times our emotional state, different strong emotions get in the way, and it's hard for us to access the right state of mind to make good decisions. And that's all you're doing with hypnotherapy. So you're relaxing, having someone help you get to a relaxed state, and then have invoke this wise person. You're going to go through a door, and inside of this room, you're going to see the person who has the best answer for your question. And then you have someone go through the room and describe what they see. And they always see something they never would have imagined, almost always. Or you can say you're going to talk to your higher self or your younger self or older self and to gain that sort of access.
Right.
But a couple questions. This is kind of funny. Eric at the same said, would anyone consider Ouija board to be a form of divination? Exactly about the same time that I mentioned it. So he's like, wow, synchronicity. And Dirk says he just flips a coin like some wild animal.
Well, that's I Ching is all about flipping coins. But really, the Ouija board, I think there's a parallel between like the divination and necromancy. That's where they cross paths. Yeah. That's, in the center is the Ouija board, I would think. But yeah, the
automatic writing is the same.
3 coins. Automatic writing is Ouija board comes from automatic writing. It was born.
You write, you just and that's just writing stuff. Some people.
Well, it started with the planchette.
Some people think you're coming. Well, no, you just write.
Right. Right, but they were originally using a planchette with a pencil on it, so it was writing like that.
With automatic writing, you're saying?
With automatic writing, yeah.
I don't think the very first was. I don't know. I'd have to look into it. I would argue. I think the very first and the most common is just, and anybody can do this. Just start writing words and stuff. Some people think
free writing. That's what we call that in English 101.
Some people think that that's coming from some supernatural third party. Others think you're just kind of accessing, your subconscious.
Right and left brain. Yeah. It's like Mozart thought his music was coming from somewhere else, but it could actually just be the other hemisphere, communicating, and it's just, there's still that separation.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. But yeah, free writing is, it's a writing exercise that, we use to
someone just mentioned to prevent what?
Writer's block.
Okay.
It comes from
someone said tarot worked well for James Bond in Live and Let Die. I don't remember that part.
I don't either.
I love the song.
Pee Wee Herman. It worked well for Pee Wee Herman.
Did it?
Yeah. That's what started
that What's my problem?
The Alamo, where she's looking out the window.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it's in the Alamo.
There's no basement in the Alamo.
There isn't. There isn't. I checked it out. I had to verify that for myself.
Pee-wee's cool.
But yeah, so there's all these different forms of divination, and whatever the mechanism is behind it, it seems to work, and I can get behind whatever works at the end of the day. I mean, the shamans of Mesoamerica, they were using hallucinogenic plants. And, their mode might have been climbing into a cave, below the earth, into the earth. These, we find cave art in the strangest of places, like a mile in that you would never get to. I mean, getting there and with a flashlight nowadays is difficult. Who's going there in the dark and drawing so clearly, like by firelight apparently, but I mean, like that was divination for them. So there's all different modes. It's just it's all about the ritual, I suppose. And even tarot started with just regular playing cards. It wasn't until about, I don't know, I say 200 years ago, they started, maybe even less actually, started doing the official tarot with the artwork and whatnot, which I think is just something that get you closer to that. But I mean, it's easier to to believe something with a cool picture on it than like the 7 of Hearts means this, that, and the other thing, Maybe. I mean, I don't know the psychology behind it, but.
So did you already give us like history of the book and some of the.
Well, the book, interestingly enough, the whole thing around it, again, you can't find much information about this. A lot of the information I got on this came right from Amir's mouth, from Lebanon, but what was ever said to him. This is used in all of the Persian countries, or countries of Persian background, know Hafiz. In fact, a lot of great writers in Europe and whatnot also refer to Hafiz. However, they're interested in his poetry. So I was interested in what is poetical horoscope or horoscope? I've never heard of such a thing. And digging into it, you don't find much on it at all. And so I really wanted to know what the origin was. Like, did he write it to be used like this? And he didn't. It didn't come around till after he died. And supposedly the story goes, and let me get this right, I wrote it down. Yeah. Okay. So back when he died, the Orthodox clergy were always opposed to him. and refused to allow him to have a Muslim burial. But his followers, or his grassroots supports among the people of Shiraz, created an atmosphere of conflict during all of this. And to resolve the controversy, they decided to use Hafiz's poetry by dividing his ghazals. Ghazals are, it's a poetry form, using couplets. Ghazals into couplets, and asking a young boy to draw a couplet out of all of them in the booklet. And that's how they would be directed to, to see what they're going to do with his body. And the couplet that the boy drew was, let's see, neither Hafiz's corpse nor his life negate. With all his misdeeds, heaven for him wait. So again, fitting to the, and this is happening back in 1300s. This could easily be myth. But from that day forward, people started to use his book, or one of his books anyways, or his poems, as an oracle. And that's how, even this, like the intro, it really, the how to use, okay, so you got this whole introduction, then finally you get to how to use this book, and see, it starts right there and ends right there. This is nothing.
Wow.
It really is unless you grew up in that culture, I'm sure this is missing details on what exactly is going on here, or it's just as simple as that. And that's why I want to look into the I Ching or do the I Ching on this show eventually too, because there is a correlation between the two. And we all know Jung was into the I Ching, so I think that ties in with going shows back to synchronicity. But at the end of the day, let's see. So it's just me trying to figure out, how does this work? Why does it work? And why do we, and there is nothing. It's our ability to know exceeds our capacity to understand that ability. That's the axiom we end with.
Pretty crazy. So 1388 AD, considered perhaps the greatest mystic of Iran. That's pretty impressive. It sounds interesting. It sounds like, what's interesting, I love about this is it seems like it's such a big deal out there, but I have never heard of it.
He's the Shakespeare. He's the Shakespeare of that area in the world, of the Middle East. And in fact, his name, Hafiz, it's his pen name. His real name is Shamazeddin Mohammed. Hafiz actually is the name of someone that's memorized the Quran. And supposedly, as a child, he memorized the Quran, listening to his father recite it. And so this is a thing. Like, Hafiz is what they call people that would by memory. And that's, that sounds outrageous to us, since we don't even memorize phone numbers anymore. But back then, histories and religious texts there were no texts. It was passed on by word of mouth. So he was a Hafiz or Hafez. And so it sounds like an all-around very interesting guy. However, separating the myth from the legend, and the truth from the legend, rather, can be difficult. Because, there really are. There's stories. I got all types of tales and stories.
Yeah, and, after 600 plus years, nearly, I'm sure, Lord knows what they'll say about us in 600 years, because I'm sure after we die, people will find these videos, and they'll, that's when
they'll definitely find this one. They'll find this one if they're looking for anything about Hafiz, because there's nothing out there, folks. And I encourage you. In fact, if anyone digs up more information about the poetical horoscope, or horoscope, I got this Boston thing going on sometimes. Please leave it in the comments below, or email me, Douglas@phoenixshaving.com, because I'd love to know more. But again, really difficult to find. But I love this copy. This is really just something you stand out in the wind and let the page, find that page that works for you. And
that is so freaking cool.
Yeah, I just love old books.
Which people do to this day, apparently, in Iran and in that part of the world. They open that book up. So
they do. They do.
Couple comments and questions. And everybody, ask us if you have any questions, type them in the chat, because we'd love to hear your questions. Or even if you have some comments, especially if they're funny. If they're not, we'll still like them. We like intellectual. We like funny. We like questions. Armand says a picture fell off of his wall. The ghost of Hafiz. Dirk is asking, is he still big, or did radical Islam make it taboo? That's a great question. Do you know?
Well, that's stuff. I don't know if it's radical Islam, just Islam or religion in general has always, created this atmosphere of Hafiz falling in and out of favor. I think he is so ingrained in the culture now, though, that people still use this book and text. I mean, he's more like, he doesn't come out of the whole radical, or I'm not saying radical, but more organized. I think he was more of a, what is it called? Like a whirling dervish type of Muslim. So I'm almost certain, because again, my friend was from Lebanon. I mean, like, this is part of his culture. This is what they do. And it's like we have our own forms of divination and that we still use every day, and different superstitions. So this is just part of their culture. It's so ingrained now after hundreds of years. I can't imagine it being. However, I don't know anything about fanatical Islam or what they're doing in that case. I'm sure it's frowned upon, I guess, just like Christianity, fanatical Christianity in this country would probably frown upon such things as well, such as the Ouija board and Judas Priest.
Someone said Sufi, and I'm not sure what they meant.
Sufism. Yeah, that's that type of Muslim. The whirling dervish are Sufis.
Oh, okay.
Sufism. Yeah. So that, and I could be wrong about that. Again, there's very little information. But knowing where he's coming from and being Persian and whatnot, that's what I would surmise when it comes to.
Sean says religion is messing with disclosure. I should say Shawnee. And that's a great point. I love that topic. That topic, actually, I talk about quite a lot, especially recently, but I'm not going to get into it here because it's just too big of a thing. But watch anything that I've written or videos that I've done. In fact, join. Click that join button because it's only a couple bucks a month and you get lots of great interviews and analysis by me. But I've got where I go into the whole background of how this Pentagon project started. But I also get into how religion screwed that up, kind of essentially what Shawnee's talking about. So do check that out. And I do have a religion and UFOs talk that I do. I'm not sure if it's online anywhere. I would say search for it here on YouTube, but I'm not sure if I have posted that or not. If not, I'll do that soon because it's a fun one. But
I see something talking about a jinn. I believe in the jinn sometimes mistakenly thought to be UFOs or aliens. Well, if you look at this cover too, that looks like a jinn. Yeah, that's supposed to be Hafiz.
Maybe tell people what the jinn is. Jinn is essentially where the term genie comes from.
Yeah, that's true. That's the origin of genie. And so I don't even really need to explain it. I mean, if you understand what a genie is, it's like a
Prince
spirit
Ali,
or a demon.
Wonderful That's my favorite.
It's a classic.
Story.
What was that? All good kids get naked or whatever. All good boys and girls get. Remember that? You don't know what I'm talking about? You guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Somewhere, if you listen closely, Robin Williams is something like that in between, like it's like in that negative space in between here and there. You can hear him saying something like that. I don't know. It's a conspiracy. But you guys, I'm sure someone out there knows what I'm talking about. Regardless, yes, it does. There is a gin element to this as well. I actually did a soap called Gin and Tonic, which smelled like gin and tonic, but I spelt it that way. I don't think anyone got the joke.
That's hilarious. So with the book, so the way you use it for divination, I guess, do you just kind of like use it on me? Do you know, like, let's say you were the wise man of the town, the village, and I went to you and you decided.
The shaman?
Yeah, the shaman. You decided.
Don't squeeze the shaman.
I'm going to use the Odes of Hafiz to figure out what your mission in life is for today. Let's go.
You want to do that now?
Yeah. What would you do? Like, how does it use?
Well, honestly, again, I don't have much detail on it. I mean, the description in here is about doing it to yourself. So I would imagine like you holding the book would have, it's a lot like tarot. Tarot, you're not supposed to let anyone else touch your deck.
Let me virtually hold it.
Okay, virtually hold it.
I'm virtually touching it.
Well, maybe tell you what, touch the computer, and I'll hold this to my computer, and somehow you're.
Okay.
Thanks to Verizon, you are touching this book now. Okay, so ask it what is your? Don't tell me your question. Actually, yeah, tell it. Write your question down. You have a pen and paper near you?
Okay. This is it. You're the weirdest shaman I've gone to.
Hey,
That might be a good thing. Normally, if you go to a doctor, you want him to be straight laced. But if you go to a shaman, you probably want him to be as weird and quirky as possible.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm not wearing
Somebody's selling my ETs in religion. Oh, we might be selling it somewhere. But I'll do it soon here. I'll do my lecture on that. So if you join here, you're already going to get lots of interviews and stuff. But anyway, okay, let me write my question.
Don't tell me. And some would argue that UFOism or ufology is a religion in itself.
Okay, ready.
Okay. Here we go. Now, see, my whole biggest thing is with this book and this technique is you're always going to miss the poems on the last couple pages, just because you're flipping through the book. So
we'll use the ancient one.
Well, there's some online. I found online versions of this where you just type in your question and it scrolls. So I think that more randomizes.
Really?
And, yeah.
That's cool.
But okay, here we go. You got your question in mind? Hold it in your mind.
In my mind.
Well, let me take my postcard out of here too.
I'll put it on my mind.
Okay, here we go. Okay.
I've got something on my mind.
I've got something on my mime. Anyways, here it is. From all beauties, capturing hearts don't expect. All mirrors like Alexander's the world won't reflect. All who wear costly hats with pride in town are not worthy to get kingdom and crown. Like the beggars don't worship for reward, the friend well knows how his servants to regard. I love libertines who put life at stake, who though beggars elixir of life can make. It's good but hard to be loyal, my lad. It's much easier to be wicked and bad. I lost my heart, yet I could not know a beauty may manners of fairies show. Dervishes are not all those who have long hair. Many secrets exist in this mystic affair. Of Hafiz's poems, only those are aware who for fluent, versatile poetry care. Now the interpretation is, you will find that all careers are not so well ruminating as yours. Many pretend to be as successful as you, but are not so, and you are an exception. Don't expect to reap results for every action of yours. You may not see the results of some of them. With your empty hand, you can do a lot of things that many people with capital and resources cannot do. You are endowed with exceptional talents and resources. Use them to be sure, and they will pay dividends. What was the question?
Wow.
Oh, really? Was it that?
It is pretty interesting. It's mainly because I'm making different career choices right now in the mortgage stuff. So I asked, what do I do about my financial situation? I just wrote that quickly, but what I meant was my career. And it used the term career.
See what I mean? It's weird.
And it referenced Alexander. That's my name. Is this
and a hat. And you were holding that on your hat also.
Whoa.
Which is the UFO Congress hat.
There's something good about this show, too, because this show, we get a lot of paranormal mystic stuff going on. Now, Armand says I've got Elvis on my mind. Now, thanks. I'm not sure why Elvis.
Because you were singing that song. You were always...
Yeah, but that's not Elvis.
That? Yeah, Elvis did that.
Oh, you sang that. You're always on my mind.
Yeah,
I put this on my... That was pretty interesting, guys, right? It didn't... This is funny. Dirk says, but it didn't answer anything. Good point. I kind of get the sense that you can just write some random words and do this yourself, create your own kind of poetic book. And this is kind of what art is like. People will get from it what they will. It almost reminds me of
the horoscope.
There was a Bob Costas interview. Bob Costas was, and he's a very intellectual. He's mostly sports, but I like Bob Costas. I'm not a sports guy, but I do like him. And this was a show he had at late night. I think it was after David Letterman, where he would interview people. And he was interviewing Neil Simon and talking about he just went on this long rant about how I love, your songs and how this one is about that and this one is about that. And then he talked about one particular song and he's reciting the lyrics and he's like, it's a great way to invoke this feeling and do this. And after all of it, Paul Simon was like, wow, I could see how you could get that, or I could get some of those things. And Bob Costas went, what? He was really embarrassed. And he said, I thought that's what the songs were about. And he's like, I don't know what any of my songs are about. I don't really make them about anything. Sometimes I'll have kind of a theme or a person in mind. But he said he just writes random words that sound good together. and you know, Bob Costas, who's an
he does it really well.
Thought he had it all figured out.
Yeah.
And not at all. So I think it's a kind of a fun thing with art. I think a lot of artists do that. They don't always want to admit it, but I think a lot of artists do that. And so that was
Bob Dylan's.
You could do the same thing here. Although those career and hat coincidences were pretty interesting.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it really does. It can speak to you. And that's what stopped me in my tracks. I'm the biggest skeptic in the world. And again, late at night after a few drinks, I let my guard down to this. And it was mind-boggling. Like, I can't remember what it was either, but it just was like, it was scary almost, because it's like, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, it got me. So
let's do it. Let's try it. Oh, go ahead. Did you have something else?
Well, I was going to say, Bob Dylan used to say that too. He's like, don't try to figure out my songs. Because they're whatever you want them to be. That was to paraphrase. Which is
cool. I think art's kind of neat that way, when it can be like that. But I want to. Does anybody who's listening or who's watching want to try this too? Doug will do this on you. Let me know if you want, and then let's see. It takes a couple seconds. We're on delay, so we'll see. Jock, Dirk, Eric, Armand. Who else is in here? Shawnee, Dirk.
But what I want you guys to do is, like, in a separate window, can you type out your question just so you can cut and paste it immediately after I give you your answer, or
write? Oh, so they can
write at the same time. Yeah, just so we can, because just to
or write it
for science reasons.
Like Aunt Jemima ain't my dad. Use that in a song. Watch people figure it out. He's just talking to. Oh, Eric says he'll give it a shot. Okay, Eric. All right. So type it out somewhere, Eric, your question, and tell us when you're ready. And the reason we're having you type it out is because we'll have you cut and paste the question in here once we have read your ode from Hafiz.
Yeah.
What if
and as I'm reading it, you can paste it. You can paste it.
Yeah.
In there. And
okay, he's getting ready. Do 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 do. Bop bop beep beep boop. I hope that it isn't something like, should I? And if it is, whatever it is, Eric. So don't change it. But it'll be interesting, I guess I should say, if it's something like, what should I do with my relationship? And then
touching
whatever
the
you
book.
Read there.
Touch the screen.
Touch the
Eric,
screen.
And ask your question. I'm guessing you did that now. So
but it would be interesting if then you read your poem and you break up this guy's relationship or a marriage or something.
That happened to a friend of mine, actually, with an
astrologer.
Yes, yeah. He didn't break up with her. She went to an astrologer, her ex-girlfriend, and ended up dumping him the next day. Okay, here we go.
Oh my gosh, here we go.
Okay. Last night at dawn, I was relieved from grief. I was granted the water of life in brief. In ecstasy, God's manifestation I could see. The transformation cup was given to me. Post it, Eric. One more time. In ecstasy's God's manifestation I could see. The transformation cup was given to me. What a blessed and what a glorious night, a unique experience and a wonderful sight. In mirror of God's beauty, my face did shine. To me were unfolded many secrets divine. No wonder that in spirit I feel sublime, for I needed blessings. They came in time. Good news, great fortune, mysterious voice says. That's why I can suffer all her cunning ways. All the honey that drips from my tongue was my beauty's reward for suffering so long. Hafiz's ambition and pious prayers of the morn relieved me from sorrow, enmity, and scorn. Now the interpretation.
Oh, wait. That before you do the interpretation, They're beautiful poems too. I love the imagery and everything. But he says this was his question: will I make money from my books I'm writing? Now tell us the translation.
Okay, the interpretation. Now again, different words mean different things too, and so I can't give you a full
I've
reading
noticed that
here.
about words.
Yeah, I've noticed interpretation. Okay, you have now received a great blessing, which will change the whole course of life. A great change is taking place in you and your life. It will change everything in your life. God is manifesting to you, and you will experience many divine blessings. You feel very much exalted, and rightly so, for God's blessings came to you just when you needed them most. Great fortune and great happiness will come to you, and these blessings will enable you to withstand the greatest temptations. These blessings were bestowed on you because you waited so long and worked so hard and patiently. Your earnest prayers and efforts have saved you from all sorrow, enmity, and scorn. And there it is right there. If you want to pause it and read that later on. So I think that answers the question. I mean,
let's do one more. And
one more.
Eric, tell us what you think of that answer that you got. But very interesting, I think. I could see how some things would fit, like all of your hard work coming to fruition. Okay, Armand wants to go next. So Armand, this will be the last one. We should probably wrap it up after this. But Armand, do the same thing.
Touch the screen, ask your question, and type it out. And
Armand, touch and tell us when you're ready, Armand. This is gonna be good.
Poem was good, but sounds generic. Well, this poem is from 1300, so if it sounds generic, this is probably one of the earlier ones that inspired what you've heard since. Okay,
true. He's ready.
Okay, flipping the pages.
Here we go.
Okay, here we go. Come, the victorious flag of spring appeared. Of a news both the sun and moon have cheered. Fortune mysteriously unveiled its face. Tell the oppressed justice they will embrace. My moon appeared. The globe will joyfully spin. Spring has come. New life will begin. Relate my troubles, O Zephyr, by chance. Explain my burning heart and my romance. I have suffered so much, hoping her face. Please post it. Okay. Post your question. My moon appeared. The globe will joyfully spin. Spring has come. New life will soon begin. Relate my troubles, O Zephyr, by chance. Explain my burning heart and my romance. I have suffered so much, hoping for her face. As straw I burn in fire of her disgrace. Don't sleep, Hafiz, for in mansion of grace, midnight reveries provide you a place. What is in store for me on the winter solstice at the Kingman of Wilmington in East Essex? Okay, so here's the interpretation. A great victory is expected for you. This victory will bring you great credit and happiness. Great fortune will come to you from a source yet undiscovered to you. A new era of success and happiness is approaching you. You will change your life entirely to a better and higher level. This comes to you at a time when you are worn out in hard work and toil, and when you are disappointed of ever getting any success. Now is the time for serious consideration of the problems of your life and for enjoying the fruits of your successes.
So, and the question was, what is in store for me on the winter solstice at the Kingman of Wilmington, East Essex, or Sussex? The Long Man of Wilmington.
Oh, like like a Wicker Man? Burning Man? Is that like
I don't know. Man? What is that, Armand? I'm going to look it up. It's something they do.
Oh, yeah. Actually, if it's winter solstice, they're burning a Wicker Man. I think
I saw this on. Oh no, he's the big dude. Let me show you guys. It's this dude. Let me screen share. Ba-da-doodle-doo. This is crazy, dude.
Well, that's the thing with translation, Dirk, is that's why there's so many different translations of lots of books, is because some people do it better than others.
Oh, that dude.
The big man. Or the long man. That's right. He is the long man.
So it's a winter solstice ritual with that dude.
Very cool. Very cool.
So interesting. I guess it gives you some stuff to think about. I mean, how do you, Eric feels that the poem was kind of vague, so I don't know if he got a lot from it. Eric, is there anything you're taking to heart at all? Is there anything that, you can take from that? Also, Armand, what do you think about this? Is it blowing your mind, or are you thinking it's a lot of nada?
And again, you can dig into this as much as you want by using the terminology chart too to really, take a deep dive into what it could possibly mean.
Dirk has a great question.
What is it?
How do you translate poems to another language in a very different time? Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I didn't hear it.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, for example, there are like 200 probably translations of the I Ching. Everyone thinks they have the best version. Ronbo, I had a Ronbo book of poetry when I was younger, and I had to buy. I didn't like the first one I got. Picked up 6 months later another version of another translation. Loved it. So I mean, translation is a whole art, and so that's, you can make it rhyme or you can translate it directly, but you're trying to capture the same, conceptualize the same thing the poet was going for, which I'm sure is challenging itself. But yeah, that's what's going on with this, I would suspect.
I found something kind of kooky.
Tell me.
Because Armand says he's doing this winter solstice thing, and I want to show people what that looks like.
It's naked people dancing around a fire. Right?
Might be a little creepy for some.
What is it?
I don't know. No offense.
Looks like druids.
The people yeah. So let's scroll through here. Oh, there's just some people hanging out on the lines.
They're not social distancing.
Here we go. Where is it? Here we go. Looks like they're just about to drink the Kool-Aid or something.
No, mead. It's druidic rites, it looks like.
Interesting. Well, just stay safe, Armand. Don't let anybody talk you into doing something that you wouldn't be comfortable with.
Well, it's very, it's a lot like the Nazca drawings and whatnot, Nazca lines, geoglyphs. It's European geoglyph at the end of the day.
Yeah, Armand
they maintain that.
He's going to go get a copy, and he hopes that it can change the soul to to get inner balance. And you know what? I think the poems are gorgeous. So whatever translation you have there, they did a great job because it does sound very nice. So I think I want to get the book for that reason. Yeah.
In fact, Armand, bring this with you. Get a copy of the book and bring it with you. Oh, so that's the original cover. And this is the English version. But anyways, bring a copy of this with you to that, and maybe you can blow some minds there amongst the druids as well. Because again, I don't think a lot of people in Western culture know of this book, and it's such a cool thing. It's pretty much tarot for dummies. It's like what magic is to D&D or Dungeons and Dragons is this book. And I don't mean to cheapen this book at all, but I mean, it's just a really easy way. The rules really are kind of simple here. So I think we need to see this more in our culture.
Oh, well, here's what Armand said he's really going to do. He's going to be drinking some Celtic Druids honey mead, I think, which sounds delicious.
Yes. I have a friend that makes mead.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, do you like it?
I do. I like honey. I'm a big fan of honey.
Let me show a picture. Me too. So I want to share this real quick. This will be the...
Is this your first year going to that, Armand? Remember, if you get confused, listen to the music.
Oops.
Yeah, there we go.
I want to share a better one.
Okay.
I got a full screen image here. There we go. That looks yummy.
Yeah.
I love the British. And by the way, Doug and I are always talking about good TV shows. I love the British Baking Show. That's such a good show. And I guess I'll say this. Was the election to go a different way, we were thinking of maybe UK as a nice place to live. I love the UK. I love the sense of humor. I've always been a big fan. But and it looks like I would have enjoyed joining Armand drinking a bunch of this and then doing something probably inappropriate around the winter solstice.
Fran doesn't get British humor that much, and I just started watching this new show that she hates. I think it's pretty good. But this guy who's he installs I don't know, installs does some type of installation for the internet. I can't recall exactly what it is, but he's a paranormal investigator on the side, and he's turning all these. And he's got a new partner working with him within the company, and he's turned all their installations into paranormal mysteries to solve. And I'll send you a name of it afterwards, but you might enjoy it. It is pretty funny, and one of you guys probably know what I'm talking about. I'm into the second episode, and I have to watch it when my girlfriend's not here, but it's pretty entertaining. And I'm so bad with names of shows these days. I watch so many of them in this downtime that it's like, it's not worth even remembering the name anymore. Oh, so, Vanessa, what's the name of that show? Do you know what it is? And do you like Vanessa,
it? On Facebook says she's been watching that show too, or she may have been watching the baking show. Let us know. Oh, the Truth Seeker.
Yeah, check it
out.
You know
what? I think I did see an episode, or at least I heard about it.
It's hysteric. They cover all the cliches within the paranormal investigator world.
Armand says what he's going to be doing is going to be live on Facebook during the solstice. If you have time, before
and
we're
if you
done
have connection,
yeah, let us know who in Facebook. Like, where would we go? What would we look at to watch that? Because I would like to watch that.
Oh yeah.
But otherwise, I guess we should wrap it up, huh?
Yes, folks, this is the end. My only friends, the end. And once more, Hafiz, Odes of Hafiz. I highly recommend it. Poetical horoscope. And if you're just tuning in now, rewind to see how to use this book. And I promise you, it's super easy. But this should definitely be in all of your bookshelves and all your collections. It's fascinating and possibly magical. So thank you for joining me and Alejandro once again for What is Doug Reading? Until next week.
Thank you so much. This is another really, really interesting one. Super cool. This has been a lot of fun. So, and we even got to read people's horoscopes and stuff online. So thank you all also in the chat for joining us. Thanks to Jock and Jorge just joined us a little late. You have to watch the whole thing. He's coming from Australia. We've got such an international group of people joining us, which is great. It must be your hat.
We're finding the others. We're finding the others. Few of us out there, and we're somehow bringing you all together into this vortex of awesome. So thank you for joining. Thanks for getting it, folks. So few do.
Yeah. This was a lot of fun. Thank you so much, Doug. This was a great one. Thank you to everybody who's watched. Of course, people can follow you on Phoenix Shaving. You've got your own YouTube channel. You've got all kinds of social media.
Yeah, I'd latherbeshaving.com. Please check out the show. And if you're into male grooming and wet shaving products, phoenixshaving.com. Boom, boom, boom. With disclosure. There's some disclosure involved.
And of course, you're watching Open Minds where I do my thing, but also hit me up if you want to refinance. You should refinance. Take some money out of, help lower your bills right now, and it's really hard for everybody. And otherwise, I guess everybody have a great week. We'll see you next week.
Ciao.
Ciao. Oh, I should play a video. I must just hit pause, but let's play a cool video.